Welcome to Fanfiction Audiobooks. Marvel, Opening Prince of Asgard. Chapter 41, True Fragrant St1 Man. Yes, we are predators, we are freedom fighters, we have nothing to fear. Why does the Cosmic Mercenary Union rate the powerhouses in the universe, and what grades 1 to 4 are used to divide the powerhouses? If I say, I rate myself a 6th order 7th order, that is not invincible in the universe? Ha ha ha. Some looter leaders seemed to be moved by the stupid stone man, and they all shouted that they would only know who was stronger and who was weaker after being beaten. They are predators, fighters of freedom, and it is impossible to back down. The crowd was outraged, and some predator leaders who were still thinking about it slowly made up their minds and joined the sequence of deciding to fight Caesar directly. Even the red-skinned and hunched old predator leader joined helplessly after sighing. Only a few marauder chiefs remained on the sidelines, still unmoved. The atmosphere seemed to warm up, and the inclinations of all predator leaders became very apparent. The silly stone man suddenly sighed. What kind of rating is that? I actually went to the Mercenary Union to evaluate it. They said that I have Tier 3 strength and can directly become a Tier 3 super mercenary. The benefits are very good. I don't want to, but they are really too strong and give too much. Do you know? The news that the ruler of the Heavenly Palace can appear in any corner of the universe at any time is true. Welcome, Lord of the Heavenly Palace. The silly stone man finished speaking in one breath, and some of the plunder leaders still haven't recovered. What happened? Who I am? Where am I? I saw the leader of the stone man kneeling directly on one knee, and then a large number of predator leaders followed and knelt down at the same time. The stone man leader and the raider leaders who were kneeling at the same time looked at each other and smiled awkwardly, scolding inwardly. It's all an old fox. It's too treacherous. You. The red-skinned and hunched old raider leader looked at the kneeling raider leaders with trembling and horror, and then used all his strength to roar loudly. Everyone, run! But, everything is too late. With a faint blue shimmer, the second most powerful man in the known universe, the ruler of the Heavenly Palace, Caesar, has descended. It's him. Kill him, and then kill those traitors. Some raider leaders didn't choose to flee the first time Caesar appeared, but attacked Caesar out of their control. They really thought that who was stronger or weaker between them and Caesar would have to be played to find out. Caesar didn't keep his hand, and their ending was very simple. Caesar just tapped his fingers, one at a time, twisting them into pieces and disappearing. The leader of the red-skinned rickety old predator is also among the broken ends, and it seems that he is not without a name for himself. He just rushed up very decisively, as if he wanted to buy some time for the fleeing predators. In every organization, there are always some loyal martyrs. Caesar admires it, and then kills him with a little more force, making his death less painful. As for those looter leaders who resolutely fled when the situation was not good, how could they have escaped after Caesar personally took action? The power of the space gem is not a decoration. Having captured all the fleeing raider leaders, Caesar killed them instead of surrendering. Although the system can gradually increase the loyalty of all those who surrender to Caesar, the stronger their own strength. The more you resist Caesar, the slower your loyalty will increase, and the easier it will be to defect. After Caesar has gone through it once, he doesn't want to go through it again. As for slowly closing them up and teach. Caesar said that there is not so much time and energy, and there is not so much manpower to look after a group of powerhouses who may defect at any time, comparable to Tier 3. Besides, are they important? With most of the territory of the original Skrull Empire in hand, the collection of faith energy is getting faster and faster. The mere Third Order has long been ignored by Caesar. Having dealt with the hostile raider leaders, Caesar began to meet wise men who had either surrendered to him or who had simply fallen to their knees. Caesar helped up the naive-looking leader of the golems, and then got all the surrendered raider leaders to sit up. Caesar looked at them with a half-smile, but the stoneman leader and the surrendered marauder leaders all started to get a little restless. After seeing Caesar kill the fleeing marauder leaders without hesitation with their own eyes, they also began to fear their own worth. They feared that Caesar would crush them all. Some of the raider leaders began to tremble, but the stone man leader still maintained his naive appearance. Caesar smiled and glanced at the stone man, secretly said, "This guy is really interesting and has a lot of thoughts." But Caesar didn't care, all the little thoughts were paper tigers in the face of absolute strength. Caesar wouldn't even bother to deal with them if it weren't for the fact that there were too many predators and too complicated to deal with them piecemeal. Caesar knocked on the table, then said to all the looters, "Welcome to be a part of the Cosmic Mercenary Union. Next, I hope you can show your strength well. However, please remember to abide by the rules of the Cosmic Mercenary Union, otherwise, I will be angry." The plunder leaders who were relieved gave their assurances, and the stone man leader even slapped his chest with a bang, and the gravel splashed. After Caesar finished speaking, let them go out and collect those scattered marauder minions. Those low-strength predators stayed for a period of time after surrendering, and their loyalty was still worth it. Asterisk. Chapter 42 The Overlord of the Universe, 5. Each marauder faction leader has a large number of marauder subordinates to follow. Less than 10,000, more than 100,000. So many plunderers, and a large number of plunderer leaders have died, and it is impossible to personally appease and surrender. Not everyone is willing to surrender obediently. Anyway, the spaceship is in hand, just start the spaceship and leave the free star. Go through the jump point. The big deal is to leave the nearby galaxies and stay away from the sacred temple, and you can always live freely. Definitely, who cares how many people this freedom will bring suffering? The surrendered marauder leaders began to forcefully suppress, but they were still too busy. Caesar had no choice but to take action himself, pulling the nearby sun closer, allowing all the plunderers to feel the warmth of the sun a little. And then casually destroyed a few spaceships that were looking to escape, and a large number of plunderers began to settle down. They began to think that Caesar was actually quite warm and easy to get along with. Those who wanted to die for freedom died freely, and most of the rest chose to live freely. After everyone else surrendered to Caesar, Caesar told them to start the ship and stay away from liberty. Afterwards, he directly pushed the fixed star and ate the free star that the predators had placed a lot of spirit on in one bite. Let them see with their own eyes, what is close to the fourth order limit, the second-ranked top powerhouse in the universe. When the 23 planets were destroyed before, it was too fast, and not many people were alive to witness it. The Kerry Empire and the Hela Empire will not help him with propaganda. Only withholding his information, Caesar felt bad about it. Obviously, everyone is a small partner who signed a peace agreement together. If you don't help, you will always be a hindrance. For example, this time, a large number of eliminated military warships were accidentally left on the black market, and then they were accidentally bought by looters, which is very sad. Because his prestige has never reached the standard, he has not been able to get the reward given by the system. So, this time, he personally fed the Star of Liberty to the sun in front of millions of predators. First, the intense high temperature caused the earth to turn bright red, and countless lava spewed out. The entire planet turned into a red apple that seemed to have been left for a long time and was full of cracks. Then, as the plates shatter, the sun's powerful gravity forces the free star to begin disintegrating. A large number of land plates were attracted to the mouth of the sun, and after a little spark was splashed, they disappeared. Bit by bit, bite after bite, finally, there is no longer this planet called freedom in the world. Only the sun remained, still burning fiercely. Those predators who witnessed this scene with their own eyes finally understood what it means to be strong and fearful. Caesar arranged for the predator leader to lead the fearful predators to the Andromeda galaxy on their own, registering as cosmic mercenaries together, and then training for a few months according to the specific situation. He left them directly, ripped apart the space by himself, and returned to Angel Star. As for whether the plunderers would escape or rebel during the long journey, Caesar didn't really care. Anyway, they've all witnessed Caesar's power for themselves, even if they escape smoothly. The scene where Caesar pushes the sun to eat the free star will also become their eternal nightmare. And, maybe they can use their mouths to blow another wave of prestige for Caesar in the distant galaxies of the universe. It's just a pity that the Predator group has finally ranked among the top 10 forces in the known universe in the Cosmos Mercenary Union. But in one day, Caesar alone killed or conquered 34 factions. The strength was damaged, but he had no choice but to give up the throne, and let the Nova Corps of Xandar planet succeed. The main strength of the Predator group actually lies in their faction leaders. Each of those faction leaders basically has a strength comparable to Tier 3. As for the rest of the troopers, compared with the regular army of powerful civilization, it is far inferior. March time passed by in the blink of an eye. With the conquest of the Marauder Legion all the way, they successfully reached the Andromeda Galaxy. The incident of Caesar's single-handedly destroying the Free Star and pulling the Marauder group down from the throne of the top 10 forces in the universe has finally spread throughout the entire known universe. The power ranking of the Cosmic Mercenary Union is also recognized as a powerhouse rating, and it is gradually recognized by more and more people. Caesar's reputation has finally reached the standard. The title of the Overlord of the Universe has been successfully obtained. Wearing this title will shock all enemies in the universe who know the host's prestige, and when facing the host, the combat power will drop by 10%. No hesitation, wear immediately. But Caesar felt that he didn't have any change in strength, and he didn't know how to reduce the enemy's combat effectiveness. Caesar was a little curious and wanted to try it on the enemy immediately. But in Angel Star, no one is his enemy. Looking for fighting swords and supreme wisdom to learn from, that is impossible. What if Caesar wanted to fight ruthlessly in the name of sparring and directly kill supreme wisdom and Dugian? The space war will break out immediately. A peace agreement was signed. Caesar didn't want to start a dispute. He needs time to develop. Had to hold back for a while. However, just when he planned to find someone to test his strength after a while, Lian Bing came up and told him something. There is a low-level angel, while traveling the Andromeda Galaxy, spreading faith. Disappeared. She has been missing for nearly 7 days, but she has not been seen resurrected in the reincarnation pool. Only Caesar has the highest authority of the reincarnation pool, and can perceive the specific coordinates of each angel. There was really no other way, so Lian Bing came here. If you want to apply for a recommendation in a few days, you need the data to meet the standard, so please. Asterisk. Chapter 43 Void Visitor. As the Commander-in-Chief of the 2nd Angel Legion, Liang Bing currently has only over 1,000 angels under his command, and it is not yet full. And all the angels under Caesar's command have not added up to more than 5,000. Caesar dare not say that he remembers every angel's name and appearance, but at least he has a certain impression of every angel. After all, those are the angels who are truly willing to give everything for him. Also, each of them is really beautiful. Now that a beautiful angel under his command has disappeared, it must be found. Without saying a word, he glanced at Lian Bing and ordered her. In the future, Angel disappeared for more than 3 days, and he was not resurrected, so he came directly to him. He is good at locating the search and rescue in person. Then, go directly to the reincarnation pool. Locate angel coordinates and use the power of the space gem. With a flash of blue light, Caesar instantly moved countless light years and appeared in the dead and dark void. In front of Caesar, a space merchant ship with the flag of the Holy Heavenly Palace is flying to the next jumping point. Seeing the banner of his own power, Caesar's eyes narrowed slightly, and in the void, it seemed to be much colder. Inside the merchant ship, a black-skinned man with some scales on his face was constantly drinking the wine in the merchant ship, as if trying to hide his nervousness and sorrow. "Don't worry, it's been a few days, as long as we pass some jumping points and send her there, we can make a fortune. The Cosmos businessman with a fair complexion and a bloated body patted the trembling hands of the Haitian tribesman with a gentle smile. Then he said, "With such a large sum of money, your entire ethnic group can buy whatever you want. You can buy a lot of warships and weapons, and you can rely on your own strength to protect yourself. You should know that you can't rely on anything else, even God. Only you can control your own destiny, and you will become the hero of the entire race. All the beauties of the entire ethnic group will be very happy for you." Roar, don't you want to see that day? When the Haskell people heard this, their drinking hands stopped shaking, and their eyes became firmer, but then they immediately said in fear, "But, that's God. Also, they are the direct subordinates of the second powerhouse in the universe, Tiangong Master. If the Master knows what to do, it will bring disaster to the entire ethnic group." What a cowardly idiot, the Cosmos merchant cursed inwardly, but the smile on his face was still warm. If it wasn't for the signing of the oath, there are too many black scales who know his specific information, and he really wants to directly kill this guy who has shown many flaws along the way. He has spent too much time and too much energy for this plan, for that large sum of money. Even if he now understands Caesar's majesty and power, he secretly regrets it, but he can't stop it. Don't worry, although the ruler of Tiangong is extremely powerful, he is by no means omnipotent. Relax, keep calm, and don't show any flaws. We may pass many supply points and checkpoints along the way. And now, we are in the void, can he still stop us in the void? The Cosmos merchant tried his best to appease the Haitian people with a gentle smile. The Haitian tribe calmed down again, but immediately, with a bang, the wine bottle in his hand fell to the ground and shattered. The liquor splashed everywhere, and the rich aroma of wine permeated the entire space, but the Haitian people did not have the slightest mood to savor it, and their whole bodies began to tremble violently. One hand pointed out the sightseeing window of the Cosmos merchant ship. "Heavenly Palace dominates. There, Caesar's figure is emerging. Can you please open the door? After all, I don't want to destroy this ship just yet." Caesar's voice inexplicably passed through the void to the ears of the merchants of the universe and the Black Scales. The Black Scale clansman had collapsed to the ground, his face full of despair. And the Cosmos merchant also changed his mild smile and roared firmly. "All crew, at all costs, full speed ahead. All weapons, all ready." The speed of the spaceship accelerated again despite burning fuel at all costs. It seemed that in an instant, Caesar was left behind. "It's useless, it's useless, it's over, it's over." The black-scaled clansman who collapsed on the ground muttered, and an unknown liquid appeared under him at the same time. The Cosmos merchant gave the embarrassed Haitian clansman a stern look, but had no time to answer. "Just keep staring at the spacecraft's scanner, always paying attention to Caesar's figure. Oh, it seems that this ship is all yours." Caesar's faint voice came through the void again, and the black scales became more and more unbearable, and the Cosmos merchants began to sweat profusely. "I can rest assured that. Alert! 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 Damage to the back of the spacecraft, damage to the back of the spacecraft. The power source is destroyed, the power source is destroyed. Can't go forward. Can't go forward." The piercing siren continued to echo inside the spacecraft. A lonely universe, a huge spaceship whose tail is burning violently. Alone, stopped in the void. Asterisk. Chapter 44, Silent Prestige. Day, 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 the heavy footsteps kept coming. An incomparable figure was walking slowly from the back of the spacecraft to the front of the stage. "My beautiful subordinate, I'm really thankful for you. Caesar is holding Angel, who is completely anesthetized and is currently in a coma." Along the way, he smashed all the shreds of life and death, leaving only the black-scale clansman and the merchant ship captain. Caesar glanced at the black-scaled clansman who was slumped to the ground, exuding a strange smell. With a wave of his hand, he threw it into the distance, and there was a big rotation in the space, so that he could get rid of the smell on his body. Afterwards, he said calmly to the merchant ship captain, who was shaking a little, but still calm. "Can you tell me who asked you to do it?" Caesar had some doubts, whether some cosmic forces wanted to study Angel and provoke him. "He, the great ruler of the heavenly palace," the captain of the space merchant ship said with a miserable smile. "There is no one to direct at all. They are just too rare and too valuable. I'm only the first, but by no means the last. Even if your name spreads across the universe. But in this world, there are too many people who are willing to do anything for money, too many. You can't kill it all." The captain of the space merchant ship glanced at all the dead crew members with some sadness. Those are his most loyal subordinates, and many others are his close clansmen. But all of them, in an instant, were killed by Caesar. The captain of the space merchant ship began to close his eyes in despair, waiting for death to come. Caesar understood, and without further ado, he directly crushed the captain of the space merchant ship to pieces. Then, squinting at the black scale clansman who was a little dizzy. "It's my rule, isn't it kind enough? Let you guys dare to blaspheme the gods." The hay scale people came back to their senses a little, and prayed in despair, "The great ruler of the heavenly palace. Many of my people are innocent. I beg you, spare them, spare them." The black scale tribesmen constantly kowtowed and prayed, and blood gradually oozes out of their black foreheads. "All civilizations must pay for their faults," Caesar said coldly. "Tell me why." The head of the black scale tribe touched the ground, maintaining a kowtow posture, and his whole body began to tremble, and then he raised his head suddenly. Shouted loudly. "There has never been a savior in this world. We just want to have our own power, we want to have the power to defend ourselves. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? We have killed too many people, too many." Before Caesar ruled and sheltered the black scales were plundered. Caesar lowered his head, his eyes cold, and a tiny golden flame burst out. Instantly turned the black scales into ashes. "Civilization is never right or wrong, you are just too weak, this is the universe." Stepping into the void, Caesar let the powerless ship in front of him float in the boundless universe. Then, the blue light flashed and returned directly to Angel Star. After awakening the anesthetized angel, after learning the specific information of the Haitian people, he summoned Liang Bing and arranged some angels' combat power and spaceship. Directly instructed Liang Bing to destroy the entire Haitian clan. At the same time, spread all the civilizations under the rule and those who blaspheme. Death, genocide. God's might is like a prison, God's grace is like a sea. Blindly benevolent rule does not necessarily lead to better faith. Only by contrast can the value of kindness be highlighted. After getting things in order, Caesar set off again. He's going to find a tough guy. Solve a sharp sword that hangs over the heads of low-level angels all the time. Void Land, where Collector Tiffany currently lives. The entire void is the head of an ancient god. But it is as big as a planet. The Tiffany group occupied this place and sent countless outlaws to dig the treasures of the void. The bones of the gods, brain tissue, spinal fluid. They are all rare treasures. In the universe, countless civilizations are willing to study the incomparably powerful gods. Pay dearly. A whole head of the gods is an incalculable wealth. But the Tiffany group has occupied and mined here for hundreds of years. No one has yet taken this wealth away from Tiffany. Caesar went straight into the void. The place of nothingness was originally very lively, and countless outlaws were indulging in joy here. But when Caesar's figure appeared in front of those lawless outlaws, silence is like a rapidly spreading disease. Death, like silence, in an instant, descended on the whole place of nothingness. But there are still chaotic voices passing through the void. A muscular outlaw with a gun butt turned his back to Caesar and beat a red-skinned man frantically. The red-skinned man may have done something wrong to offend the outlaw. Perhaps, he did nothing wrong, but here is a place of nothingness. The outlaws beat very hard, and the red-skinned man screamed hard. They haven't noticed anything wrong with the atmosphere. Until the companion beside the outlaw quietly pulled the corner of his clothes and gave a wink. How come? The outlaw turned his head, and before he finished asking, he obediently closed his mouth. The butt of the gun that was raised high was also put away gently by him, and a flattering smile was on his face. The red-skinned man who kept screaming under him opened his red and swollen eyes. After taking the opportunity to glance at it, the screams in his mouth immediately turned into inaudible whimpers. There is also a cosmic mercenary union in the void. Many outlaws here have been part-time predators. The prestige of the ruler of the heavenly palace is fully revealed. Asterisk. Chapter 45, Facing Tiffany. Tiffany's residence. Caesar walked straight forward. Just glanced at the guard at the door, and the guard moved out of the way tremblingly. Definitely, there was already a guard back when Caesar came. I quickly went to report to Tiffany. The ruler of the fifth largest force in the known universe, the second most terrifying powerhouse in the known universe, has descended. Caesar sensed the powerful aura, ignored many guards along the way, and came directly to Tiffany. The guardian of the report has not retreated, and Tiffany at the moment, swimming in a pool full of celestial spinal fluid. White hair, black goggles, exaggerated swimwear. Caesar could not help but secretly spit. Are these elders of the universe particularly boring? Every hobby is really unique. Tiffany slowly climbed up from the pool, took a maid's clothes and put them on. Then, with a radiant smile on his face, in an aria-like tone. My best friend, I'm so happy to see you. By the way, it's really good to take a bath with the spinal fluid of the gods, do you want to try it? Tiffin clapped his palm vigorously, and after he finished speaking, the spinal fluid of the gods in the swimming pool slowly disappeared. After a quick flush, the brand new tension spinal fluid was put on. Oh, Caesar said quietly. I don't know when I became your best friend. Also, I'm not at all interested in those strange grey-green liquids. Oh my god, don't you know? The master told me that you are his best friend, and the master is also my best friend. So, aren't we still best friends? God, this really breaks my heart. Collector Tiffany performed with exaggerated acting skills and asked at the same time. Are you really not considering taking a dip? Really good. Seeing that Caesar's eyes turned cold, Tiffany immediately changed his mind and said. Well, it looks like I'm the only one enjoying these goodies, but would you like to visit my collection? I have collected a lot of treasured things in the universe, and it will definitely surprise you. Tiffany was still joking, but Caesar became impatient. Enough, Tiffany, I don't have time to joke with you. I'm here for only one purpose, immediately stop your bounty on Angel. You know, it will cause a lot of trouble for my Angel. Oh my god! You came here for this. I thought you wanted to meet a good friend. It's really sad. Tiffany didn't restrain his exaggeration. It seems that this kind of performance has gradually become instinct with the long years of acting. But, my best friend, you know, collecting is the most important hobby in my life. Your angels are really rare and precious. I really want to have an angel. As my best friend, are you willing to help me achieve this little wish? You know, collection is my life. I will definitely treat her well. Every one of my collections, I treat them very well, and I have also saved many cosmic races that are on the verge of extinction. Everything is for civilization. How about it, my dearest friend? I am willing to give you a precious collection as a thank you gift. Trust me, that gift will never let you down. Are you finished? Caesar's face became colder and colder, and Collector Tiffany completely angered Caesar by using angels as exchangeable goods. Tiffany's collection may indeed have saved quite a few cosmic species from extinction. Or at least, let those cosmic races that eventually become extinct be recorded. Let them leave traces of existence in this universe. So what? As long as Caesar lives on, the angels will never die or become collectibles. I'm here in person, but I'm not asking for it. Oh, what is that? Collector Tiffany's acting skills are still exaggerated, but his eyes have become a little dignified. You said that collecting is your life. I want to know, is it true? Caesar said coldly. The power of space erupted, and took Tiffany directly to the void. Wow! Tiffany stood in the void funny, knocking with his left hand and touching with his right. Then, looking at Caesar's already gloved hands with very eager eyes, said with admiration, "Infinite rough stone. That's great. My best friend, are you willing to give me the infinity rough as a collection? I'm willing to give you most of my collection, really, I really like it so much." Caesar stared at Tiffany coldly, and the system's choices began to emerge. Notice that the host is facing the Cosmic Elder Collector Tiffany. Please start to choose. Choose 1, force Tiffany to cancel the bounty on Angel, reward, teleportation. Choose 2, agree to do Angel's deal with Tiffany, reward, Tiffany's mysterious collection. Choose 3, ignore Tiffany's bounty on Angel, reward, a pair of eyes to observe the 9 realms. The system's choice had already appeared when Caesar met Tiffany, but Caesar had just made the choice. However, Caesar began to wonder after Tiffany recognized the power of the space gem that Caesar had intended to hide. His choice was right. Asterisk. Chapter 46, Using Fixed Star as a Spear, Turning the Universe into a Battlefield. With the space gem in hand, the teleportation ability is a no-brainer for him. But if he has a pair of eyes to observe the 9 realms, both his personal strength and overall power will be greatly improved. The crushing of information, the devastating blow of precision guidance, combined with the space gem, fixed star bombing, in the universe, the Kerry Empire and the Shia Empire will be completely crushed by Caesar. But the ability to teleport is very crucial to Caesar's next plan. Plus, Caesar couldn't tolerate Tiffany's continued bounty on Angel. No matter what Cosmic Elder he is a member of the extremely powerful Cosmic Elders Society. Caesar wanted to beat him up right now. If you don't want to give in, just kill it. Without the person who paid, I see how the bounty will continue. Your eyesight is really good, you deserve to be the veteran of the universe. A sigh of praise, followed by a fierce battle. Caesar wasn't trying to convince Collector Tiffany that what he couldn't get with his fists was hard to get with his mouth. Every strong man has his own beliefs and dignity. Even the seemingly comical elders of the universe. At the beginning of the battle, the strength of Collector Tiffany exceeded Caesar's estimate. Since Tiffany had recognized the space gem, Caesar did not hold back, and directly used the power of the space gem to forcefully shrink and squeeze the collector's space. Then, simply activate the power of fixed star, which is directly a flare bombardment. But the light dissipated, and Collector Tiffany was unscathed. Caesar was a little surprised. Even if he had a fighting sword that turned belief into energy, his body was extremely powerful, and he was resistant to flare bombardment. He should at least suffer a little damage. As for Collector Tiffany, he doesn't seem to have an extremely powerful body, but he was bombarded by flares, but his clothes and hair were not damaged. This is simply not possible. Caesar was slightly shocked, so he was about to move Tiffany again, imagining that he would move Tiffany directly above the fixed star just like fighting a sword. Build home court advantage against Tiffany. But he was once again surprised to find that even the power of the space gem could not move Tiffany. The power of a single space gem is close to the 4th order limit. And Tiffany original, actually controls the space force close to the 4th order limit. Tiffany is far more powerful than the Grand Master. Caesar temporarily stopped and said to Tiffany, "I thought that most of the Cosmos Elders only had the strength of the 4th order high level, but I didn't expect your strength to be close to the 4th order limit." "Oh, la la la. The Grand Master stays in Sokka all year round, where time is warped." Although he used to be older than me, but now, I am much, much older than him. Look, my hair is white. His hair is just grey. Otherwise, stop now, I hate fighting the most. Collector said with a contorted expression and dancing. So it is, has the long years made you stronger? Caesar nodded thoughtfully. Then, the attack was launched again. The strength close to the fourth order limit, and the power to control space, so what? The strength of Caesar is not only due to the space gem. If you can't move Tiffany, move the sun directly. Using the power of the space gem, Caesar grabbed a series of fixed stars and threw them directly at Tiffany. But it was easily caught by Tiffin, or simply disappeared for no reason and kept it away. Or directly use the power of space to put the fixed star back in place. Take fixed star to attack Caesar, it's just feeding. Space transfer, space compression, space barrier. The battlefield began to switch constantly. The battle between Caesar and Collector seems to have played out across the universe, alarming countless civilizations. A large number of fixed stars disappear and reappear after the battle between Caesar and Collector. The inexplicable gravitational difference brings strong vibrations to the planets around fixed star. Those fixed stars that have been taken away and have not been reset have even plunged some civilizations that have not yet been able to go to the universe into eternal darkness. On that day, Caesar and Collector used fixed star as their spear to turn the universe into a battlefield. Countless civilizations are wailing, and countless civilizations are even more afraid of it. On that day, those low-level civilizations finally knew what the true power of a superpower is. The major civilizations of the universe are sensational, but the battle continues. The power of space cancelled each other out, and the fixed star projection could not damage Tiffany. On the contrary, it was the strange collections that Tiffin found out from somewhere, which caused Caesar to suffer some minor injuries. The golden blood was scattered on the starry sky, but Caesar's body was still tall and straight, and his expression was still high. Tiffin is still unharmed, without the power of space, just relying on the power of the sun in the fourth order. He has not been able to hurt Tiffin, who is close to the fourth order limit for the time being. But Tiffin's face did not see the joy of victory in sight. Instead, he was crying and panting much louder. The space gem that links the origin of the universe has infinite energy, but Tiffany's energy is by no means infinite. If you keep fighting, the only one who will lose will be Tiffany. But Caesar glanced at the void, a flash of hesitation flashed in his eyes, and then he became determined again. Today, too many civilizations have perished. If it drags on, the battlefield will probably spread directly to the Andromeda galaxy. There, but his base camp, every civilization is providing him with faith. And he also made a promise. Give them a safe haven. That's a fair deal, and Caesar would never break it. This battle must be resolved as soon as possible. Caesar roared decisively, and then, another fixed star was captured. Instead of continuing to project Tiffin, he forced Tiffin to consume his own energy to transfer the fixed star. Instead, directly, harness the power of the space gem. The fixed star has been compressed to the extreme. Then, compress the fixed star into the Marico file size and swallow it in one bite. There are only 4 chapters today. I need to stabilize the word count. I will apply for a recommendation on Wednesday. If it goes well, it will be on the shelves on Saturday. Therefore, today, the 4 chapters will be updated, and they will explode on the same day as the shelves. Please ask for some data, please. Asterisk. Chapter 47, The Remnant of the God of War. Light, infinite light. Hot, extreme heat. An enormous amount of energy erupted from Caesar's body. And Caesar used the power of the space gem to be firmly bound in the body. It made him seem to have become the incarnation of the sun. This is Caesar after a fierce battle with Daejeon and supreme wisdom. The first attempt after successfully promoting the sun power again. The body melts into fixed star, the sun is me, and I am the sun. This is, the real, sun war body. The huge but energy-dispersed fixed star couldn't hurt Tiffany. But after Caesar incarnates fixed star and has the power of space gem as support, Tiffany can no longer escape Caesar's personal attack. The extreme heat and light bring the ultimate attack power. Tiffany's whole body also began to become a little charred. Every time Caesar attacked, it would leave a charred mark on Tiffany. His snow-white hair gradually turned to ashes, leaving only a shiny reddish bald head. Tiffany's funny expression also became heavy, and he no longer had the energy to be funny. He must use all his strength to resist Caesar's incomparably powerful attack. Tiffany's vast collection began to be destroyed by Caesar. He had to use those hoards to stop Caesar's attack. Tiffany feels distressed, and has collected it for countless years. It made him really regard the collection as almost his own life. But he can only have more collections if he is alive. Only then can we continue to appreciate the treasures that he has carefully treasured for countless years. Tiffany began to find ways to escape, and the power of space had already played a flower in his hand. Caesar followed the fluctuations in space, and soon, he came to the periphery of Sokka. Tiffany didn't lie at least a little, he might really be the master's best friend. The Grand Master walked up without hesitation, trying to stop the fight. Definitely, the slogan is definitely not wanting to see the two best friends kill each other. What can we sit down and talk about? It seems to be negotiating from a fair and impartial neutral perspective. If Caesar hadn't vaguely felt that the Grand Master had almost no defense against Tiffany, but kept his guard against himself, he might have really believed that the Grand Master had no intention of escorting him. The two elders of the universe have joined forces, and Caesar is not sure of winning. Moreover, the elders of the universe are not just two people, Tiffany and Grand Master, in case one or two powerful helpers emerge again. Caesar might not really be an opponent. This battle cannot continue. Caesar knew very well, so he took advantage of the situation to get off the donkey, and accepted the Grand Master's suggestion for peace talks with a smile. Seeing that Caesar had put away his incomparably powerful energy and stopped attacking, Grand Master and Tiffany put on exaggerated smiles again. With his exaggerated acting skills, the Master smiled and said to Caesar, "You are my best friend, and Tiffany is also my best friend. We should be a group of good friends. Between good friends, many things can be communicated and understood each other, right?" Speaking of this, the Master winked hard at Tiffany, who was bald and covered in black. Tiffany's tragic situation shocked him. He never imagined that Caesar, who was just an ordinary Tier 4 Protoss at the beginning, would be so powerful now. But at the same time, I was secretly grateful that I became good friends with him back then. Definitely, this good friend is just the Grand Master's opinion. He believes that he and many people are good friends. Tiffany felt a little sad in his heart, not because he was hurt by Caesar. Instead, he is sad about his damaged collection. But in order to protect more of his collection, he had to face Caesar, who destroyed many of his collections with an exaggerated smile on his face. Even if the bottom of my heart may hate the itch, Grand Master is already his friend who is most likely to help, and other Cosmos elders may not necessarily help. Even if you shoot, I don't know how many collections you have to destroy to defeat Caesar. On the premise that the three of them had a heart to talk to each other, the exchange was very pleasant. If you don't consider exaggeration, Grand Master and Tiffany have really funny abilities. Withdrawing the bounty, keeping the secrets of infinite gems, and losing the collection he wanted in exchange for an angel excavated from the void. The Fourth Order Aesir gods, half of the god of war Tyr. Caesar had met Tyr, a powerful Protoss titled God of War. At his peak, he should have the strength of the Fourth Order medium level, and he will fight the world with Odin Hela all the year round. Only then disappeared mysteriously, and soon after, Hela staged a coup. I didn't expect to see Tyr again, but I saw only half of his corpse. Moreover, it is still found in the void. Caesar pondered for a while, and then exchanged a few words with Grand Master Tiffany again. Holding Tyr's remnant body, he returned directly to Angel Star. Although Tyr is dead, his body is even more defective. But there is still a fairly powerful fourth-order divine power within his divine body. The third-order Aesir gods, after absorbing this divine power, there is a faint hope of inheriting the divine power of the god of war and becoming a new and incomparably powerful god of war. Valkyrie, who is already third order, but basically has no hope of fourth order by herself, can use this. He handed Tyr's remnant to Valina. Valina tried her best to absorb Tyr's divine power, but she still had a little energy to break through. That's right, if it's really easy to create a powerful fourth order Protoss, how could the collector simply take it out? Caesar had no choice but to use the reincarnation pool, consuming a lot of faith energy, and forcibly helping Valina break through to Tier 4. The power of faith is a very powerful and mysterious energy. Valina successfully broke through. Although it is only the weakest Tier 4, she has inherited the power of the god of war. With time, she may not be able to reproduce the demeanor of Tyr, the god of war. Angel is calm, and Caesar chooses to continue to develop and polish his strength. The whole universe began to boil. Asterisk. Chapter 48 The New King. The battle between Caesar and Tiffany was not deliberately concealed, and the two constantly used the power of space. Battlegrounds appear randomly in too many places. Even though most of them are only fleeting, but the huge energy response, the response reports that are constantly received. It is impossible to hide from the powerful forces of the universe who have a huge and extremely advanced technology. The Cosmic Mercenary Guild has quietly updated the ranking list of the strongest known cosmic players. Collector Tiffin directly replaced the ranking of Flame Giant Surti. Become the sixth strongest in the new known universe. In terms of hard power, Collector Tiffany's power of space is very close to the fourth order limit, and he will definitely surpass Carol and Thanos. But Carol and Thanos, one is linked to the origin of the universe, the energy is endless. One even directly controls Mind Gem, claiming to have the most powerful energy in the universe. If it goes on for a long time, Tiffany will not be the opponent of the two of them. But if Tiffin wanted to run, and he didn't control the same powerful space force, no one could catch him. The supreme wisdom of the Kerry Empire has directly fallen to the throne of the known powerhouses in the universe, but this is for the Kerry Empire. It doesn't have any effect. The power of the Kree Empire comes from its vast territory, from its unique technology, and from an almost infinite number of huge fleets. Not just from the power of the supreme wisdom. Collector Tiffany and the Elders of the Universe have once again entered the sites of major civilizations, but this time, the resources and efforts of the major civilizations to detect intelligence are undoubtedly much greater. It's just that the more I probe, the more powerful, mysterious, and frightening I feel. The water of the universe is too deep. In a short period of time, the major civilizations have even been a lot more polite when dealing with some unknown small forces. I was afraid that one or two extremely powerful superpowers would suddenly appear in that unknown small force. The Tiffin group established by Tiffin is even more famous, and even the entire Voidland is very lively. Even with the bones and spinal fluid left by the gods, the price is constantly rising. There are many civilizations who think that Tiffany's strength may be because he has studied the secrets of the gods. In addition, in the list of cosmic dangers secretly arranged by the major forces, Tiffin directly ranked third, surpassing Thanos. Only for Odin and Caesar. The power that is so powerful that it can destroy a planet is certainly terrifying. But every civilization that has entered the interstellar era has weapons that are enough to destroy the stars. The power of the weapon is not the bigger the better. Even if the power is huge enough to destroy the entire galaxy. However, if it can only be reduced to the time when both parties are forced to perish together and threaten the enemy with destruction, then, this civilization is definitely not really powerful. Beyond visual distance, come without a trace, go without a shadow. I can only hit you, you can't hit me, and it can even be extremely accurate and devastating. This is the goal pursued by a powerful civilization. And Odin, Caesar, and Tiffany undoubtedly have the ability to do devastating blows beyond the line of sight. For many civilizations, this is the real threat to the extreme. Boiling is only temporary, calm is the true meaning of the universe. The universe is vast, and there are countless new things happening every day, and few things always make a splash. It's just that people once again have a fairly clear understanding of the strength of those top powerhouses in the universe. For a time, those indigenous civilizations that were overly self-reliant, after the expansion of the mercenary union, also became much less. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye it was a few years, and the 2 legions of the Angel Legion were just full. Under the influence of a lot of faith, Liang Bing was successfully promoted to a king-level angel. Title: Apocalypse. Caesar has once again added a powerful combat force with a standard 4th rank. On the first day after her promotion, Liang Bing was very confident and went to trouble Keisha with arrogance. Then, was beaten violently. Valena watched the battle and laughed. After Liang Bing recovered, he went to Valena for a friendly discussion. Just after the exchange, Valena hid from Caesar for several days. Even Caesar tried to train Varina, but couldn't find her. Time passed by like this, and Caesar and his forces became stronger and stronger. The universe hasn't changed much in the past few years, except not long ago, Thanos didn't know why. I found Tiffin and went to the Void. Got into a fight with Tiffany. But the Void land wasn't destroyed, and Thanos didn't kill half of the Voidland's workers. The battle wasn't that intense. It didn't take long for Thanos to give up. Then, once again led the expansion of the Dark Quadrant. Continue his cosmic terrorist attack that kills half of the people, saves more people, and restores the balance of the universe. Without a doubt, the Mad Titan Thanos. It is the leader of the super-terrorist organization that all major civilizations in the universe hate. His bounty, on top of the Cosmos Mercenary Union, has a sky-high price. But, so far, no one can get this bounty. Asterisk. Chapter 49 Supergiant. Report: the Blue Spirit family of the affiliated civilization was attacked by the Dark Quadrant, and the guard forces stationed nearby have been defeated. The leader is the supergiant in the Black Order. Caesar was visiting the Tiangong throne battleship built by Sacred Caesar with a huge amount of resources and energy. A low-level angel quickly stepped forward and reported a message about Thanos and his subordinates. After Thanos went to the Void to fight with Tiffin, Caesar has been instructing his subordinates to keep an eye on Thanos and the power of his subordinates. He was waiting for Thanos' reaction. Supergiant. Caesar touched the gorgeous and powerful Tiangong throne with one hand, and said in a low voice. It seems that no one has told you the definite news yet. Thanos, here I come. After Caesar finished speaking, he nodded at the low-level angel who was reporting, and backed away Keisha and Lian Bing who wanted to lead the expedition. Lan Ling Xing is located on the edge of the Andromeda Galaxy, which is relatively far away from Angel Star, and Angel Star does not directly reach the nearby jumping point. If you want to go to help quickly, you can only use the power of hyperspace teleportation. Keisha and Lian Bing were too late. Caesar thought for a while, then took off the glove, took out the space gem, and handed it to Keisha. Instructing Keisha to pay attention to support at all times, and after speaking, activate the system reward obtained when forcing the collector to retreat, and teleport. With the Void Throne and Cool Bing Varina, he went directly to Lan Ling Xing. The Blue Spirits have a huge population and are extremely religious, but they can't easily let Supergiant kill half of them. Lan Ling Xing, the most adept at observing intelligence among the Black Orders, with Supergiant with extremely powerful telepathy and mind manipulation ability, is leading Kiritas and a large number of vanguard guards. Divided the entire Blue Spirit clan. An old man here, an old man there, a child here, and a child there. On the division of life in a fair and balanced way, Thanos's Dark Quadrant is undoubtedly serious and professional. They do it all the time. And, there are quite a few people in the dark quadrant who have been brainwashed into thinking that they are contributing to the balance of the universe and that they are on the right path. Because in the short term, the disappearing large number of people does provide more abundant resources for the remaining people. Supergiant thinks the same. No, she even felt that killing half of the people was too little, and thought that at least 2/3 should be killed. A powerful spiritual ability from childhood to adulthood. On top of that, she has an overly beautiful face among the tribe. Let her see too much ugliness in the process of growing up. Too many people. Many times, there will always be some ugly thoughts worth destroying in my heart. But this time, Supergiant wasn't in the mood to tell which blue Eldar were more worthy of sacrifices to restore balance to the universe. All her mind was concentrated in the void, always paying attention to the terror that might appear at any time. The blue spirit people were divided by despair, and the terrifying purpose of the dark quadrant had already spread throughout the universe. Most of the blue spirit tribe did not complain after being divided, but began to pray devoutly. On the one hand, he was praying for the arrival of Angel and the arrival of the Savior. On the one hand, I am afraid that some dark thoughts will inevitably flash, praying that my side will not be a sacrifice to be killed. The prayers continue constantly and everyone starts to wait in silence. For some reason, the people in the dark quadrant who were already proficient, divided sacrifices and left, were also unfamiliar. They seemed to be waiting. Supergiant began to kill some people who were not pleasing to the eye at will, and seemed to be a little anxious. But immediately, her whole body began to tense, her eyes were even wider, and she stared at a certain void. There, terror came. The magnificent Tiangong throne suddenly appeared on the blue spirit star. The incomparably huge cross shadow immediately covered a large number of blue spirit clansmen who were kneeling and praying. They started constantly shouting roar loudly for the hope of living. They firmly believe that they are already extremely safe. Moreover, they became extremely agitated, and even some devout blue spirit people fainted with excitement. Sister, elder sister, is that our God? A young blue spirit clansman asked innocently, pulling the clothes of his sister who was trembling beside him. That is God, the supreme God. He actually came to save us. We are so lucky to be able to see the face of God. The sister said firmly. Brother, remember that it is the sovereign God who saves us and saves us from our enemies. We must find a way to go to the heavenly palace in the future, become the saints of God, get closer to God, and serve God. After years of faith, coupled with personal rescue in times of crisis, the power of faith provided by the Blue Spirit clan has exploded again. However, Caesar didn't pay attention to these. The belief of a mere Blue Spirit clan was actually not that important in today's Caesar's view. Nor was it worth his presence. There is only one goal for him, and that is Thanos. And the supergiant, who is constantly observing Caesar, is just a small beginning. Asterisk. Chapter 50, Dangerous Ideas. Heavenly Palace. Dominates. A Chitauri commander shouted in horror. He is not a believer who regards the balance of the universe as his mission, he simply loves war and killing. Likes to crush the pleasure of others. But I never thought that I would be crushed by others one day. How is it possible? How is it possible? How could the ruler of the heavenly palace appear in person? Commander Chitauri panicked, hurriedly took Supergiant's hand, and said hurriedly. Why didn't you leave earlier? Now, is Thanos-sama nearby? Can you come to support? Before he finished speaking, Supergiant cut off the commander's head directly. I hate when people touch me. Also, thank you for your contribution to the balance of the universe. Supergiant glanced at the corpse of Commander Chitauri, who was slumped to the ground, and called another Chitauri to be the commander. Afterwards, he stared at Caesar who came from the void. Although she had been prepared, she did not expect it. It was only the first attack, and Caesar came directly. She had thought that at least a few more planets would need to be balanced before Caesar would come. Supergiant calmed down, the most important purpose has been achieved. Although she is not afraid of death, she has no intention of dying in vain. The balance of the universe still needs her to work hard, even if she is really starting to get tired. Gongshen bowed to Caesar, and Supergiant began to politely say, "The powerful ruler of the heavenly palace, we didn't know this was your sheltered territory at first, no offense, but now, we are willing to pay for it." After Supergiant finished speaking, Chitauri and a large number of vanguard guards suddenly started a mad slaughter of themselves. But in an instant, nearly half of all the subordinates brought by Supergiant fell in a pool of blood forever. Most of the fallen did not fully believe in the idea of balancing the universe. Supergiant waved his hand, the killing stopped immediately, and all the vanguard and Chitauri lined up again. As if the bloody killing just now was just a gift. "We will withdraw from this galaxy immediately, and we will no longer offend anyone who belongs to the holy heavenly palace," Supergiant said respectfully again. Thanos is known as the Crazy Titan. Considered by almost all civilizations as the most powerful and craziest terrorist, the Bloody Butcher. But Thanos has always, never been really crazy and stupid. It should be said that he has some relative tacit understanding with those really powerful civilizations in the universe. Hostile to each other, but not directly fighting. In the universe, there are countless civilizations, and there are too many weak civilizations and races to balance. Why do you have to find hard bones? That would just waste time and reduce the efficiency of balancing the universe. Supergiant also understands this. After the goal is achieved, even Thanos does not want to fight Caesar directly. Caesar sat on the throne, rubbing his forehead with one hand and tapping with the other, with Valena and Lian Bing guarding him. Behind him, hundreds of middle and high-ranking angels fluttered their wings and formed an army formation, adding majesty to Caesar. Nice show. After watching Chitauri and Pioneer Guard kill each other with cold eyes, Caesar said coldly, "Is this an apology or a demonstration?" Before he finished speaking, Caesar tapped the void with his fingers, and an extremely powerful and scorching impact directly aimed at all the remaining Chitauri and Vanguard guards. Arranging them in a neat queue, the shock was a mess. Even Supergiant, with the tap of Caesar's fingers, seemed to feel a powerful majesty, even hindering the use of her spiritual energy. With her strength, she was suppressed close to one level just by facing Caesar. It's impossible, even Lord Thanos, he can't rely on coercion to hinder my use of energy. Is he stronger than Lord Thanos?" Supergiant's heart began to tumble violently with Caesar's casual blow, secretly raising Caesar's strength again, and then said more and more respectfully, "The great ruler of the heavenly palace, that is definitely just an apology. If you still feel dissatisfied, you can take all their lives at will. Each of them will be willing to sacrifice themselves for the balance of the universe. So, what about you? Are you willing to sacrifice yourself for the balance of the universe?" Caesar gave Supergiant a contemptuous look, then said coldly, "The generosity of others, Caesar is the most despised." Silence, just a moment of silence. Supergiant began to reply decisively, "I have already sacrificed everything for the balance of the universe. If you wish, I will do it. Fortunately, the most important news has been passed on to the adults. Fortunately, my lord arranged for me to test it. If I attack Angel Star directly, I am afraid that no one will survive except my lord. They still need to live, and more people are needed to balance the universe. I'm just a little tired." Supergiant closed his eyes directly, but there were thousands of thoughts in his mind. Knowing too much and seeing too clearly is actually really painful. The innate powerful spiritual power, for her, is not a gift, but a curse. Seeing that Supergiant didn't seem to be a fake and died calmly, Caesar also changed his face a little. But then, his face immediately turned cold. Thanos, too dangerous. But his idea, Caesar, never endorsed. Suddenly received 20 reminder tickets. I was really surprised and happy. But, readers are big, I really can't do it. Too many, really too many, I really didn't save the manuscript. And tomorrow apply for a recommendation, and then it is easy to put on the shelves. It really can't be changed. Thank you very much, but I am very sorry. It may still be 4 updates today. I will see the recommendation situation tomorrow, and the minimum is 5. Asterisk. Chapter 51 The Temptation of Thanos. As soon as Caesar's eyes are closed, he will directly kill Supergiant. An image suddenly emerged from the Supergiant bracelet. On the majestic floating throne, he is tall and strong. Wearing gorgeous golden armor, holding a long knife in one hand and a scepter in the other. Thanos and Caesar, opposite each other. The two superpowers in the universe, Caesar's nightmare that has always been awakened since its birth, is finally at the moment. Meet formally. Thanos is still the same Thanos, equally powerful and majestic. But Caesar is no longer the weak and fearful Caesar. Caesar raised the throne of the heavenly palace, looked down directly at Thanos, and then said coldly. With just one image, it's impossible for you to save her life. Why don't you come in person? Or, come directly to Star Angel to fight with me. If you can win, let alone Supergiant, the billions of territories I dominate will be handed over to you. Thanos raised his head, looked at Caesar solemnly, and then said. You're not Tiffany. It's not my current goal either. Fighting against you on Angel Star, I'm afraid even I may not be able to survive. Thanos glanced at Valina and Lienbing next to Caesar, 2 Tier 4 powerhouses, and the commander of the First Angel Legion, who was already famous in the universe, Holy Kaisha. Under Caesar, there are too many strong men. Go deep into the lair of a powerful force, and then face a bunch of enemies who may even be stronger than yourself? Thanos doesn't want to die yet, at least, not until he has balanced the universe. The Lord of Heaven, Caesar, try to understand this universe. Caesar, you know, the universe is limited, and the materials in the entire universe are also limited. All life must be balanced. Otherwise, sooner or later, all life will go to eternal annihilation. Death now is in exchange for a better life in the future. The universe needs balance. Caesar, would you like to help me? We join forces, and even without those things, we can balance the universe as quickly as possible. In the entire universe, no one can stop the power of the two of us joining forces. We will become the destiny. A voice full of temptation sounded in Caesar's ear. In Thanos' hands, above a scepter, a small yellow gem was also emitting a faint light. Caesar focused, instantly shattered the temptation, and then, staring at the scepter in Thanos' hands, said slowly. Did you rely on that to confuse them and join you? Thanos laughed, waving his hand and throwing away the mind scepter. That's just to increase the possibility a little bit when facing you. Even if I already understand, for people like you and me, it means nothing. Also, do you really think that they can be controlled by relying on a small stone? Thanos pointed to Ebony Maw, who carefully caught the scepter, and pointed to Supergiant, who was willing to die. The words are full of firmness. As the master of Ebony Maw level universe psychokinesis, weak 4th order strength. There is also Supergiant's incomparably powerful spiritual power, which is also close to the 4th order combat power. With mind gem alone, their will cannot be twisted at all. They all witnessed the idea of cosmic balance firsthand. Countless planets, countless lives, after experiencing balance, ushered in a better life. My philosophy is not wrong. It's just, in this world, the only one who is willing to bear all the sins and pains of life for this concept is me, alone. I am destiny. Hee, destiny. Caesar sneered. One question, do you love the entire universe, or the entire universe of life? Are you carrying the entire universe or the life of the entire universe? Between the universe and the creatures of the universe, who is your final choice? The atmosphere seemed to have become a little frozen, and the Blue Spirit tribe, who had already relaxed, became nervous again after seeing the image of Thanos. The prestige of Thanos is too great. After a long time, Thanos said quietly, "A house, no matter how beautiful it is, has no meaning if no one lives in it. It's just that there are too many people living there, too many. This beautiful house is almost unbearable. I want to drive those people out of this house, at least, let this house live longer. Let them have a home to return to. This is my answer. Caesar, would you like to join me? After balance, the entire universe is yours, and all beliefs will also belong to you. You will become the true Supreme Master. Just before that, bring a little pain to the entire universe. Time will erase these pains, and they will only remember that it was you who brought a better life to the entire universe. Caesar, isn't this the future you want? As long as we join forces. ***. Chapter 52, The Wrong Way. Thanos is still dumping his beliefs on Caesar, even at the cost of the hegemony of the entire universe. After careful observation by Supergiant, it was discovered that Caesar's trans-horizon teleportation was not using the power of the space gem, but his own power. Thanos is desperate for Caesar, and for the power he commands. As long as you have Caesar's space teleportation ability, plus his powerful elite angel army, the great cause of balancing the entire universe, the efficiency will be greatly enhanced. And, no one can stop his ideals. The two of them are united, and there is no resistance in the universe. As for sending the universe to Caesar after the balance is complete, so what? He actually just wanted to be a plain old farmer. Sunset, wooden house, old farmer, Thanos. That's enough. Caesar froze for a moment as Thanos put the hegemony of the entire universe in front of him as a bargaining chip. No one is unshakable in the face of the hegemony of the entire universe, and Caesar is no exception. Especially, he really understands. Seriously, Thanos? Thanos, never lie. There is indeed a limit to the materials of the universe. Properly controlling the amount of life in the universe is not necessarily a bad thing for the entire universe and the entire population. And, if the life of this balanced universe is randomly selected from half of all people, to protect your relatives and friends, and let other civilized races pay a balanced price. In Caesar's heart, he didn't resist much. This is the universe, this is civilization. There is no right or wrong. In the eyes of Caesar, the life and death of hundreds of millions of lives in the rest of the civilization could not even be worth the life of a friend of his own. Would you sacrifice your family and friends in order to save an odd-looking civilization countless light years away? At least, Caesar definitely won't. Caesar had a smile on his face. The hearts of countless blue spirit people below the two tyrants began to thump. Some of them are doubting and fearful. Fear Caesar agrees to Thanos' proposal, fear Caesar destroys the planet in order to keep this secret. Or, the first step of balance, start from Lan Ling Xing. But they don't have any power to stop the power of these two cosmic tyrants, no matter what the choice is. They can only accept helplessly. Among the civilizations of the universe, the strong prey on the weak is nothing more than this. Caesar smiled at Thanos, and then countless golden flames appeared in his eyes, and instantly, the head of Supergiant, who was completely unsuspecting, burned to ashes, and then, spread rapidly, killing all remaining Chitauri and Vanguard. Likewise, incinerate. The surviving blue spirit tribe was stunned for a moment, and then broke out with a shocking roar shout. They, really, survived. They are, really, safe. The bracelet on Supergiant's hand was not damaged, and Thanos' image flickered a few times. Stabilized again. Thanos looked at Supergiant very sadly, even though he knew that Supergiant was really tired. I have long wanted to use my life to make a contribution to the balance of the universe. But he still felt sad. Thanos was by no means a crazy, emotionless creature. Thanos stared intently at Caesar, his eyes seemed to burst with anger. He seemed to be silently questioning why Caesar suddenly did that. Caesar sighed and said to Thanos with a smile. I said, with just one image, you can't possibly save her life. Sorry, even if you put the entire universe in front of me and hope that I will join, I still refuse. Caesar took a deep breath and began to narrate very calmly, as if to an old friend, telling the story of the past. You know, I've known you existed since I was very young. And, all the time, fear and despair over your ideas. Because I don't think my luck is that good. Because I entrust my life to the thoughts of others. That feeling is too powerless, too painful, and too desperate. But today, I can even face you with a smile. I understand you to a certain extent and respect you. Understand the finiteness and cruelty of this universe, and respect your willingness to bear the sins of countless lives for an idea. However, Neu, I'll just say one thing, in order to balance the universe, the idea of slaughtering half of the lives of all races, I will never approve. It has nothing to do with good or evil, just because this road can't balance the entire universe at all. This is the wrong way. I never want to bear countless sins and walk on the wrong path. Having said that, Caesar began to ask softly. Thanos, have you counted? There are countless civilizations in the universe. In this universe, are there more powerful races or more weak races? Do the powerful races consume more resources, or the weaker races consume more resources? Have you thought about it? Thanos began to ponder. Caesar continues, as of now. Caesar has been able to calmly start a battle of ideas with Thanos. This is an incomparably powerful strength, which brings enough confidence. And then, Thanos put down his sadness and asked calmly. Thanos wondered why Caesar said his path was wrong. Asterisk. Chapter 53 Invitation to Thanos. We should all understand that even the stronger races live longer and are stronger. In the universe, it seems that those powerful races always show their faces from time to time. However, those who really occupy most of the universe's territory are still those relatively weak races. It is still those relatively weak races that consume countless resources in the universe. Because they are weak, at least they can reproduce. That's at least a reproduction rate of close to 5% or more per year. Even counting the dead and their fear of carnage, it's only a few decades, or 100 years at the most. Half the population that you worked so hard to kill will suddenly rise, and even become more. You know, half of the people you killed left enough resources for them. And what about the powerful races? In 100 years, they may have only reproduced one generation. Not even that. The weaker races constantly multiply. Then, because of the powerful race, a large number of people died, leaving a large area of territory. Weak races will take advantage of the situation to occupy them, and they will continue to multiply again, constantly consuming the limited resources of the universe. What do you think will happen to them in the end? The annihilation of all life in the universe will only come earlier. This is the end of implementing your philosophy. Caesar ruthlessly attacked Thanos' ideas. He was true, he would never agree. It's impossible, it's impossible. Obviously, those civilizations, after killing half of them, the rest of them are doing well. Thanos said in a low voice. The universe is too vast. You and the dark quadrant under you are nothing more than a so-called cosmic terrorist group that is busy maintaining the balance of the universe and ends up running around. Sorry, Thanos, you are the highest bounty and most famous terrorist leader in the universe. Do you really have, along your own path, to see those, after being balanced by you, 50 years, 100 years of civilization? Oh sorry, I almost forgot, except for you, many of your subordinates are not only idiots without wisdom, but also a race with no longevity at all. And you, who are devoted to the balance of the universe, have balanced countless planets, How can you remember those planets that you slaughtered 50 years ago, 100 years ago? That's too small for you. Thanos, you are wrong. Thanos started holding his head in pain. The countless Blue Spirit clan people below looked at all this in astonishment. It was the first time they had seen that the legendary Mad Titan Thanos would make such a gesture. It's worth 100 years for them to blow. Oh, by the way, I'm actually really interested in the whole hegemony of the universe, and I was almost tempted by your proposal. You know, I need a lot of life to provide me with faith. I also clearly understand that even if I join the slaughter after dozens or hundreds of years, no one in the entire universe will mention this matter again, and the universe will be firmly in my hands. But, what's the point of that? In 100 years, it only takes 100 years, and their numbers will expand dramatically at that time. Do I have to join forces with you again to slaughter half of the population again? Can such a rule, such a belief, continue? Thanos, this will only make the two of us walk on a wrong path that is extremely sinful, extremely bloody, and will never end. Do you think I can endorse your ideas? Caesar said coldly, exposing to Thanos the cruelty that Thanos had always ignored or simply didn't want to think about. Thanos began to struggle, and at that moment, he might really be like a crazy titan. But after Ebony Maw hurriedly used the Mind Scepter to calm Thanos' mind, Thanos recovered again, his eyes became very firm. Even destined for a bloody road with no end in sight, Thanos didn't care. Since he has already carried the sins of countless people, Thanos doesn't care about carrying them all the time. If it can't be relieved once, it will keep killing. To the end of the entire universe, to the end of Thanos' life. Thanos, make up your mind. But Caesar spoke again. Actually, I have a way to better maintain the balance of the universe without slaughtering. However, this may require me to rule the universe first. Thanos, are you willing to help me? You will become the left hand of God, the deputy king of the king. Together, we can build a balanced and harmonious universe. From fear to understanding. To this day, Caesar can even comfortably extend an olive branch to the crazy titan Thanos. Hope Thanos joins their ranks. Caesar's heart has long been sublimated. No longer entangled in the so-called plot, no longer afraid of the so-called Thanos. He is already, genuinely, the super overlord of the entire universe of Wailing. The Blue Spirit people under the throne were completely dumbfounded. The great ruler of Tiangong even openly invited the strongest and craziest terrorist leaders in the universe to join his own sequence. What the hell is going on here? The people of the Blue Spirit tribe were both startled and frightened. What happened today will probably be remembered for a lifetime. Asterisk. Chapter 54 The female version of Thanos? Enough, Caesar. Thanos growled angrily. I have already made up my mind, and it is imperative to maintain the balance of the universe. Without you, I will also find a more efficient way to maintain the balance of the universe. If one time is not enough, then I don't mind, and I will bear this sin forever. At least, what am I doing for the balance of the universe, and what about you? Thanos asked back. Caesar smiled and continued. I really have a better way to maintain the balance of the universe, but do you really need to try and help me after I rule the universe? Disappointed, Thanos finally looked at Supergiant's headless body and was about to end the call. He didn't want to talk to Caesar any longer. Since you can't guide Collector and Caesar into your own sequence, find those treasures as soon as possible and do it yourself. Okay, Caesar was about to turn off the communication when he saw Thanos. Said hastily. You know why I just killed Supergiant? It's not just because you don't agree with your ideas, it's just because, many years ago, when you attacked Asgard through Bifrost and challenged Odin, you accidentally threw me out of Bifrost. Do you know? You sent me to Sokka, a disgusting place where time is extremely warped. You let me waste nearly 1,000 years. If it wasn't for your attack, now, I would have ruled the entire universe. The entire universe will also be in balance under my rule. I killed it just to vent my anger, that's all. Thanos, are you coming for revenge? Caesar said defiantly. But Thanos opened his eyes wide, but still didn't appear in front of Caesar through the nearby jumping point. Everything is for a better balance of the universe. Thanos, be patient. Thanos didn't show up and didn't respond to Caesar's provocation, but just turned off the communication. The image disappeared, and Caesar looked at the void and muttered. Ha, Thanos, you are the destiny. Sorry, I dominate the destiny. After Caesar murmured, ignoring the blue spirits who were adoring roar below, he directly activated the ability of teleportation, and returned to Angel Star with the throne of heaven. As for the rest of the blue spirit clan's settlement, their own subordinates will do it. Master, sorry, failed to detect Thanos coordinates. Holy Caesar led the fully armed and well-prepared First Angel Legion and some elite predators under his command, and said to Caesar. It's all right, when Thanos resisted my provocation and the real body didn't show up, I knew it. Our ambush this time is very difficult to succeed. Unfortunately, I had done a good job of letting countless surrounding civilizations be buried for Thanos. Holy Keisha bowed her head and said nothing, but Lian Bing began to ask. Master, do you really want to invite Thanos to our sequence? Caesar smiled lightly. If he wishes, he is the left hand of God. Unfortunately, I couldn't fully convince him. Thanos has gone too far and paid too much on that wrong path. He can't look back. Actually, I don't think there's anything wrong with what he did. His philosophy still makes sense. It's a pity. Lian Bing said with emotion. Caesar glared at Lian Bing. You are the angel of original sin, not the angel of terror. You are responsible for cleaning up those civilizations that blaspheme and violate their oath, not those civilizations that know nothing. Don't become a demon. How is that possible? Said Lang Bing hastily. With the reincarnation pond, it is definitely impossible for Lian Bing to become a demon, she just has a more eccentric temper sometimes. For example, knowing that he is not Keisha's opponent, he always takes the initiative to find a beating. In the depths of the heavenly palace, there is no one around, and Valina and Caesar have just finished their training. Valina began to ask curiously. You said that you have a way to maintain the balance of the universe, but after ruling the entire universe, you don't know what to do. Wouldn't it be more brutal killing? I've been holding back for a long time, and many people have never dared to ask. Caesar rubbed Varina's head and said with a gentle teasing. It's actually quite simple. Killing is still killing, and there will be more killings, but this will in no way affect my rule and belief. Because it's no longer the living who kill. How is it possible? How can it be done? Valina tilted her head and asked curiously. Caesar said with a smirk. I often kill countless lives when we practice, but I never feel sorry for them. Blocking is not as good as sparse, directly reducing the population through massacres and maintaining the balance of the universe. How can it be compared to controlling directly from the source? Thanos didn't understand that. Valina suddenly realized, and then said calmly. Maybe it's because there are no female titans in this world. Ha ha ha. Caesar laughed wildly, and it was hard to imagine what the female titan looked like. Is it a slightly slimmer purple sweet potato essence? Still the same robust purple sweet potato essence. I dare not think about it, I dare not think about it at all. Deep inside the heavenly palace, Valina and Caesar laughed together. Asterisk. Chapter 55, King of Heaven, Hexi. The laughter subsided, Valina asked again. But why not govern at the source in the territories we rule now? I think Liang Bing is definitely up to the task. When Valina said this, there was a gloating look on her face. Liang Bing asked her for a revenge for slapping her face, and she will report it today. Caesar sighed and didn't answer Valina. The universe is too vast. The universe is too small. Actually they all understand. It's just that even if you are willing to weaken your strength to maintain the balance of the universe, the Kerry Empire and the Hela Empire will not be willing. Speaking of which, they have earned too many resources from my territory over the years. When Caesar thought of this, he couldn't help but feel helpless. He is developing too fast. Although his subordinates have gathered a large number of plunderers, believers, and affiliated civilizations as soldiers. However, until now, he still does not have the powerful technology that he has built into the system. Although the angel technology in the reincarnation pool is extremely powerful, it is an armament that belongs to Angel alone. He needs a lot of powerful space battleships and fighter planes. It was a must-have weapon for ordinary soldiers to cruise the boundaries of the universe. And most of these can only be exchanged for a lot of resources from the Kerry Empire and the Hela Empire. Dozens of times or even nearly 100 times of resources can be exchanged for a finished space battleship. It will never be their cutting-edge technology. There's nothing Caesar can do about it. Because even if he spends tens of thousands of times the same resources, without the corresponding technology tree, he can't build any space battleship of the same power. If there are resources, it can be easily realized, and there will not be so many weak civilizations in the universe. However, even those space battleships and fighter planes cannot determine the final future of civilization as the top combat power. However, Caesar was very upset by letting the two empires earn a lot of resources in vain. He wants to solve this problem as soon as possible. It is a pity that the core technology tree of the Skrull Empire has not been preserved in the Andromeda Galaxy. As for the core technology of other civilizations, unless Caesar is really ready to go to war with some major forces, at the cost of a war that has destroyed countless planets and lasted for a long time, then again, they are not necessarily available. That is the core technology of an entire super civilization. Even if it is to choose to destroy, or choose to flee to the edge of the universe like the Skrulls, I shouldn't choose to save it and give it to my enemies. Maybe, the enemy who sent it directly to his own enemy is more likely. Perhaps, Caesar should find a way to build his own research team. Time has passed, and 11 years have passed since Caesar walked out of Sokka and met Captain Marvel. In the 11th year, the commander-in-chief of the 3rd Legion of the Angel Legion was born. He was given the name Hexi, also known as the Angel of the End, and was not mainly responsible for external warfare. It was the angels who led all the upcoming 3rd Angel Corps to become Caesar's technology research and development team. The first step is to find ways to crack the inferior space warships and space fighters sold to them by the Kerry Empire and the Hela Empire. In the 12th year, Caesar's scientific team has grown again. Only a little of the former Skrull Empire's territory could not establish Angel's faith. In the 13th year, the newly born Angel joined Caesar's technology research and development team as usual, and at the same time was infused with a lot of Angel's faith. Hexi was successfully promoted and became the new king-level angel. No, King of Heaven. It means the cornerstone of the sacred temple. Achieved as a king-level angel, Hexi's scientific research ability was improved again, and finally completed the cracking and imitation of the Hela Empire's space fighter that year. In the 14th year, the space battleship of the Kerry Empire was also successfully cracked by Hexi. Angel's faith was finally established in the territory of the former Skrull Empire, also known as Heavenly Palace Order. At the same time, in addition to the new batch of angels who joined the scientific research team again, Caesar also listened to Hexi's suggestion and convened a large number of scientists from affiliated civilizations to assist in the research. Strive to evolve and optimize the technology of fighter planes and warships of the Hela and Kerry empires. Without samples, imitation and research can be carried out calmly, and every next step of technological improvement will encounter sturdy scientific research barriers. Or, there are top scientists who are beyond the mundane, like Hexi, trying to forcibly break through. Or, it can only take unimaginable time to break through this barrier. As for how much time? 1,000 years? 1,000 years? Who knows? But the three major empires of the original universe have come to the point where they are today, at least, they have developed for millions of years. In the 15th year, the new angel joined Hexy's scientific research team again. The third angel core is also full. But this year, Hexy's scientific research team failed to make any breakthrough progress. Hexy even confessed directly to Caesar that unless the power of the three kings is combined and all angels are fully assisted, otherwise, in a short period of time, he wants to raise the space battleship and fighter plane to the top level of the two empires. That is almost impossible, as for cracking the core technology of the two empires, such as the omnipotent weapon of the Kerry Empire, the shackles of the soul, and the belief energy of the Shia Empire, teleportation beyond the horizon, Caesar didn't even think about it. That is not a goal that can be imagined in a short period of time. And it is impossible to gather all angels' strength to develop research and development. The Heavenly Blade King, the Holy Keisha, is leading the most powerful first angel corps under Caesar, cruising the entire universe, fighting evil, and walking angels' faith. An Apocalypse Wang Liangbing led the Second Angel Legion, patrolling the entire territory currently ruled by Caesar, eliminating those races and civilizations that dared to blaspheme and violated their oath. They can't get out. Caesar could only shake his head helplessly, and supported Hexy and let her optimize slowly. In any case, technology currently cannot bring fundamental changes to Caesar. But soon, with a letter from Heimdall, he suddenly had a new idea. Perhaps soon, the strength of his scientific research team will be greatly improved. Thank you very much to a certain reader for sending the votes again, but I really can't come out. My middle finger is sore. It's really a zen. Moreover, the recommendation results will not come out until Friday night, and I have to control it. Word count. 5 more today. Asterisk. Chapter 56. I can hit 10. 15 years have passed since Caesar captured Tesseract, which is exactly 2010 in Earth time. This year, Thor was angered by Odin's seal of divine power and exiled to Earth because he started the struggle with the giants of Jotunheim without authorization. Meanwhile, Odin himself fell into a deep sleep. There was another violent conflict between her husband and son, and Frigg was very sad. And her other child, Loki, is always targeting Thor. Frigga was not only sad, but also very embarrassed. She must now guard Odin at all times, but she is worried about the dangers of leaving Thor unattended when he loses his powers. So, I asked Heimdall to send a message. Wish I could go back to Asgard to see her, and if I could, take care of Thor by the way. Frigga and Caesar communicated from time to time through Heimdall. She clearly knew. Today's Caesar has enough strength to take care of Thor. The universe is now, there is no major event, it is difficult for Caesar to refuse Frigga's request. And, even if Frigga didn't mention it, Caesar would go to Earth. There is no major event in the universe, but the Earth contains many secret opportunities and involves some of Caesar's plans. Worth a stay at Caesar for a while. Caesar led Varina, nodded to Heimdall, and directly let Heimdall use Bifrost to teleport the two to Asgard. Caesar definitely has the coordinates of Asgard, but Asgard is by no means an easy place to enter. It is located in the depths of the universe, like a high throne. Not a planet or a galaxy. It is a continent maintained and forged by the highest level of magic or technology. A continent inhabited by the gods. It's for Asgard. Its coordinates are not only hidden and difficult to reach, but its defense alertness ability is also excellent. Small troops may also be able to sneak in through some secret passages, and large legions can almost only enter and exit through Bifrost. And some small troops, facing Asgard, who is a Protoss and a Master, can only die. However, that was only once. Odin is at its peak, Hela is still there, the guardian of the gods, the elite of the army, the Asgard natural universe has few rivals. The enemy's attack was not even considered at all, because only Asgard attacked the enemy, and no enemy could attack Asgard. But now, Caesar stood atop Bifrost, looking at Asgard, still resplendent, and full of strange beauty. Diffuse solar sense. Except for Odin, there is not even a Tier 4 combat power. There are also very few Tier 3 combat powers. The Queen of Immortals counts as one, and Heimdall counts as one. Loki? Although it has a good magic ability, it is basically the weakest third order. No wonder, even the Hulk will play a psychological shadow. Really embarrassing for the Protoss. Valina. Caesar turned his head to the side of Valina and said, "Can you believe that if the King of God doesn't wake up, can you tear down Asgard alone?" After several years of training, the god of war power that Valina inherited was finally promoted again. Successfully possessed the standard Tier 4 combat power. Even if Thor holds Mumnir, he is by no means an opponent of the current Valina. How is this possible? Valina rolled her eyes at Caesar, then said, "Even if the King of Gods doesn't make a move, the guardian god Rig, the god of light Baldur, and the god of darkness Hodel are not something I can deal with, and the elite army of Asgard is enough to stop me." In Valina's mind, Asgard is still the powerful Asgard who is the guardian of the gods. At the beginning, Odin did not send powerful gods to follow the Valkyrie Legion to hunt down Hela, resulting in the annihilation of the Valkyrie Legion. She always believed that Odin had the ability to send more powerful gods to pursue Hela. But because Baldur and Hodel were both Hela's elders, Odin did not send them out. In the end, it led to the demise of the Valkyrie Legion. Family strife, internal rebellion. Can't the royal family of Asgard do it themselves? Have to catch the whole Valkyrie Legion? This is also the reason why Valina has always been dissatisfied with Odin and the entire Asgard royal family. Caesar sighed, and glanced at Heimdall, who was still speechless. Said quietly, "Think about how your god of war power came from. Also, Heimdall is now the new patroness. Just him." Valina glanced at the serious Heimdall and said, "I can hit 10. However, the power of the god of war, the new patron saint." Valina also began to fall into contemplation. Perhaps, the rebellion of the year was by no means that simple. If there is no accident, Asgard's elite legion, as well as the powerful gods, will never disappear or even die out of thin air. The soldiers guarding Asgard failed to recognize Caesar, who had been away from Asgard for many years. After all, Caesar, like Hela, has long been taboo in Asgard. But under the leadership of Heimdall, the patron saint of Asgard, Caesar and Valina still made their way directly outside Odin's bedroom. Is Asgard weakened to this extent? I have something to believe in you. What I saw and heard along the way made Valina a little emotional. Asgard's current strength is, indeed, too weak. Heimdall was a little embarrassed by the sight, and glared at Caesar resentfully. After all, Valina underestimated the entire Asgard, but she still had to keep a serious and silent state in front of people. Seeing too much, too clear, must learn to keep silent. Except for Caesar, almost everyone forgot that Heimdall used to be a chatter. But after he inherited the position of patron saint, he could only choose silence. Outside Odin's palace, the most elite Asgard guards are guarding. Even Heimdall can't go directly. The fairy queen Frigga has not come out to meet Caesar. A guard, but his eyes widened, staring at Caesar's face. It was an Asgard warrior who had seen Caesar and survived to this day. His Royal Highness the eldest prince. The Asgard guard asked in disbelief. Does anyone remember me? Look at the time I left a deep impression on me, right, my dear mother, long time no see. Caesar said with a smile on his face, and looked at the fairy queen Frigga, who was walking quickly. Asterisk. Chapter 57, Strange Asgard. The fairy queen Frigga is still what Caesar remembers, with slightly curly blonde hair and a light blue Roman-style dress. He always had a warm, tolerant, and trusting smile on his face. Frigg stepped forward quickly, hugged Caesar tightly, and then said a little excitedly, "Caesar, I knew it, you'll be back. You've grown taller. You have been a wise child since childhood. You will surely grow into a wonderful god. I've always believed in that, my boy. Now you have done it. You make me and your father proud." When Caesar heard Frigga mention Odin, his emotions were slightly complicated. Then said, "You will be more proud in the future, because of me, will become stronger. As for the father? Would the great king of God be proud of an exile? He's always been proud of you, and he's always been your father no matter what." Frigg gave Caesar a warm embrace again. Caesar was silent for a while and said, "You are always my mother." Frigga, ever since he was born, has always loved him tenderly and embraced him. Even though she knew that Caesar was probably born with a lot of wisdom. But none of that matters. In Frigga's eyes, Caesar, no matter what happens, will always be her favorite child. As for Odin, he was so busy fighting that he hadn't even seen him a few times. There is no emotion between them. In particular, Odin was able to imprison his daughter, Hela, forever for some unknown reason. In anger, he can also banish his son Thor for so-called peace. Even if it might just be a trial. But in Odin's eyes, the most important thing is always Asgard. Others? Whether it's a lover or a child, all have to make concessions for Asgard. Odin may be a qualified ruler, but he is by no means a qualified husband and father. Caesar has already seen through this point of Odin, he has always been dissatisfied with Odin. After the retelling was over, Frigga pulled Valena with a strange smile and chatted with her. Frigga wanted to drag Caesar and Valena into Odin's bedroom. Although Caesar is there, Odin's bedroom is now extremely safe. But Frigga still wanted to stay by the sleeping Odin's side as much as possible, guarding him. Moreover, although Odin fell into a deep sleep, he could still hear and see everything around him. Odin also wants to meet the current Caesar. Known as the second strongest in the universe, he also rules an incomparably powerful superpower. Perhaps, today's Caesar can bring huge amounts of benefits to Asgard. In Odin's eyes, Asgard's interests were more important than his thin bond with Caesar. But Caesar refused Frigga's request, at least, for now, he didn't want to see Odin. Odin fell into a deep sleep and couldn't talk to Caesar, but Caesar didn't want to see him. Frigga didn't speak, just stared at Caesar with those tender eyes. Even though Caesar's current strength and power are few rivals in the universe, in front of Frigga's gentle eyes, it is somewhat difficult to resist. It really doesn't work, just go in and see the current Odin. Caesar thought helplessly that it was really difficult for him to firmly reject Frigga. "My dear mother, who are they, can you introduce me?" The sudden arrival of Loki successfully diverted Frigga's gentle and powerful gaze. The two strangers, led by Heimdall, went directly to Odin's bedroom. As the current master of Asgard, how could Loki not rush in? Frigga gave Loki a gentle hug, then took Loki's hand, pointed at Caesar and said, "Loki, this is you and Thor's brother, Caesar. That Valkyrie is your brother's good friend. Caesar, this is your brother Loki, if you can, please help them more." Loki just stayed where he was. Doubtful look on your face? The sudden appearance of his brother and Valkyrie made him unresponsive for the time being. As for Caesar's help in the back, Loki didn't care yet. What? Is he my brother? And, Valkyrie? Didn't the Valkyrie disappear? Loki regained his senses, glanced cautiously at Caesar and Valena, took Frigga back 2 steps, and hurriedly asked. If it weren't for Frigga, who was originally a powerful magic master, her spiritual power was extremely powerful. He could even suspect that Frigga was being controlled. In all these years, he had never heard that he and Thor had an older brother. He is indeed your brother. A lot of things happened back then, and we thought he was dead. Frigga explained that Loki began to believe Frigga's claims, but didn't like the sudden appearance of Caesar. On the contrary, there is some hostility. I've never met, and I have no feelings at all. And in this very sensitive period, Odin slept, Thor exiled, and suddenly a brother appeared, accompanied by the legendary Valkyrie. Could it be that he is coming back to fight for the throne of Asgard? As Loki thought about it, he looked at Caesar and Valena thoughtfully. Caesar smiled knowingly and asked Heimdall strangely. In Asgard, ordinary soldiers don't matter. As the temporary ruler of Asgard, he doesn't recognize me. What happened to Asgard? The cosmic mercenary union has basically spread over most of the universe. It is known that Caesar's appearance is clearly visible on the rankings of the powerhouses in the universe. But Loki, the temporary ruler of Asgard, didn't even recognize him. How could Caesar not be surprised? Asterisk. Chapter 58 Fishing. Heimdall also saw some of Loki's hostility towards Caesar. With Loki's strength, some of his small movements could not be concealed from the eyes of everyone. Heimdall said seriously. This is the will of the king of the gods. After I inherit the position of patron saint, information outside the 9 realms will no longer be open to Asgard people. Besides me, it is very difficult for the rest of the Asgard people to have access to information outside the 9 realms. Caesar pondered for a moment, and it became increasingly difficult to understand some of Odin's actions. Something must have happened that year. However, that was Odin's business, and had nothing to do with Caesar these days. Glancing at Loki, he looked at Frigga, who started telling Loki about Caesar's childhood growing up. Caesar said helplessly to Frigga, "My dear mother, perhaps, you can tell him more about me now, not about my childhood." And Loki, "Well, for mother's sake, my dear brother, take it easy, I have no interest in Asgard. After all, I'm no longer an Asgard, not even Odin's son. Asgard now, hee hee." Caesar sneered. "Mother, you should train some more elite soldiers, the current Asgard is too weak. I don't want to hear the news that Asgard would have an enemy attack that day, it would make me and my sister die of laughter. I really don't know what the great king of God has been doing for 1,000 years. What, sister?" Loki was completely dumbfounded. "Do I still have a sister?" Frigga also glanced at Caesar angrily, as if blaming Caesar for suddenly revealing Hela's existence. Hela is no better than Caesar. Hela started a rebellion and was sealed in hell forever by Odin himself. Odin didn't die and Hela didn't. This gave Frigga a headache for a while, wondering if he should talk to Loki about Hela. Frigga was dragged by Loki, who turned into a surprise baby, and Caesar laughed and said to Heimdall, "Okay, send me and Valena to Midgard, where I should have a stupid younger brother who needs to be taken care of. By the way, my dear brother Loki, please take a good look at the whole universe. Finally, don't do anything to disappoint me." When Caesar finished speaking, he gave Loki a meaningful glance, then followed Heimdall. Teleport to Earth using Bifrost. As for Loki, although he noticed the look in Caesar's eyes, he was so busy asking Frigga that he didn't take it to heart for the time being. New Mexico, Caesar and Valena came back to Earth as a brilliant light flashed past. "I think this Bifrost is so dazzling now, why don't we just come over? I know, you can do it." Valena complained. "I definitely can, but Asgard is not a place where you can teleport at will, and I don't want to destroy some of Asgard's defenses. I can't stand those eyes." Caesar replied casually. Frigga's gentle eyes were, to him, the most powerful weapon in the world. "Well, the fairy queen is really amazing." Valena shuddered as she remembered some of the whispers Frigg had said to her. Then he said lively, "Wow, Midgard, I'm back. I can already smell Midgard wine. Don't think about drinking, my stupid brother still needs to take care of it, and I have other things to do." Caesar patted Varina, then looked at the void and thought to himself. "Ancient One, why didn't you appear before me? Sure enough, she can't see all my future at all." Caesar intends to lead Valena to take a look at Thor first, and then go to find a way to do his own business. In the desert of Mexico, the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have already started running towards Caesar and Valina. Just now, they detected huge amounts of energy responses from Bifrost. Stop, who are you? Why are you here? S.H.I.E.L.D.'s agent stopped Caesar on the way. Caesar didn't deliberately hide his traces. In today's Earth, there is no one worthy of him to avoid. Phil Coulson. Caesar deliberately glanced at the famous old man Phil Coulson, and then replied with a smile. People. Perhaps, you can call me God. Who are you and where do you come from? Please clarify immediately, otherwise. Before A.S.H.I.E.L.D. agent finished speaking, Caesar pulled Valina to teleport and disappeared. How is this possible? An agent immediately stepped forward and carefully observed the ground where Caesar and Valina disappeared, but never found any signs of movement. Phil Coulson circled the ground, took several pictures, and calmly contacted his boss. It seems that another alien visitor has arrived. Outside a house in Mexico, Caesar uses light refraction to hide himself and Valina. Why don't you come directly and have to meet those Midgard people? Valina asked suspiciously. To meet someone, and to catch a fish. Caesar replied with a smile, then looked at the house. Inside the house, a strong man with blonde hair, blue eyes and a beard was wearing a small apron, carrying food for an Earth woman. Is he your brother? Valina curled her lips in disdain. He didn't like all the Asgard royals except Caesar, and Thor has now lost his power. He also fell in love with a mortal. That's a good match for him now. No, God and man, there is no result. Caesar looked at Thor and Jane who seemed to be full of harmonious love, and said meaningfully. Chapter 59, The Love of Man and God. From the beginning, Caesar never believed that Jane and Thor would make it to the end. Even, he is very doubtful whether the two really love each other. Thor was at the lowest point of his life when Jane met Thor. Deprived of divine power, abandoned by Mjolnir, and told by Loki that he was mad at his father. Born as a prince, Thor, who has lived with flowers and applause since childhood, has never encountered a strong setback. Even, because of the relatively peaceful career of this millennium. Some small jokes, in front of Thor, who is holding Mjolnir, his combat power has increased sharply, and is close to the standard fourth order, that is a joke. Constantly winning, constantly complimenting, making Thor feel invincible and powerful. Encountered anything, just need to be reckless, no one is his opponent anyway. The great kings of the 9 realms either surrendered, or the source of their power was taken away, and they were severely injured. There will be a reckless fight with Thor. In this way, over the long years, Thor developed a carefree and extremely belligerent character. Odin deeply knows the depths of the 9 realms and the universe, and he is still fine. If he dies, Thor, who is reckless and still very weak, will only lead to Asgard's demise. Thus, the trial began. It only needs Thor to understand his own weakness, understand the meaning of guarding peace, and even if he doesn't understand anything. As long as Thor can live as a mortal for a while, when he is battered, Mjolnir will automatically unblock Thor's divine power again and return to Thor's side. This is a test for Odin. But Thor doesn't know all this. And when he was at the lowest point, he even felt that his future was hopeless. Jane appeared in front of him. Take care of him, pamper him, help him. Provide him with lodging and food. Thor, who has just become a mortal, has not yet obtained the ability for room and board. Just like Stockholm or the drawbridge effect, Thor was deeply in love with Jane. Even at the expense of giving up his throne and responsibility for him. But he didn't understand. Jane loves him just out of curiosity about Thor's identity and his handsome face and strong body. If Thor is really immortal, with no identity, no education, and no suitable job, could Jane really be able to support Thor for the rest of her life? Curiosity will always pass. Jane, always just a mortal. As for Thor's recovery of divine power and becoming a god, that is even more impossible. Leaving aside whether Jane's body can withstand Thor, time is the most desperate poison. Thor can live for thousands of years at least, what about Jane? After 10 or 20 years, Thor, who is used to seeing the goddess who is almost never aging, can really accept the goosebumps of Jane? Or that Jane, who is already wrinkled and hunched into an old lady, can walk in front of the handsome and strong Thor with peace of mind? It is impossible for mortals and gods to be together. Unless you turn mortals into gods, or turn gods into people. Caesar, having spent hundreds of years in Asgard, has long understood this. What's next? Do you just look at him like that? Valina asked, she can't wait to go drinking. How is it possible? I just promised my mother to take care of him, not his nanny, let him be like this first. I believe that after Loki understands this universe, he will not send out the destroyer stupidly, we have other things to do. After Caesar finished speaking, he placed a coordinate on Thor, just in case. He left Mexico and went where he wanted to go. As for whether Loki is still in trouble? Heimdall's eyes are fixed on Loki at all times, and there is something unusual. Heimdall will immediately notify Caesar. Back then, Caesar wouldn't mind destroying Asgard's defenses. In She-Stark's mansion, She-Stark has just successfully stopped the crazy attack of the Morning Whip. He and Xiao Chili expressed their hearts again. The two were playing music, lighting candles, and dancing tenderly. Oh, sorry, although I really don't want to disturb you, but if you continue. Although I don't mind waiting too much, I think you should mind others watching what happens next. Caesar said sorry, but the expression on his face was very flat. Sitting on a sofa at random, he destroyed a working camera outside Stark's house. Not surprisingly, that was S.H.I.E.L.D.S monitoring and protection of Stark. Who are you? Tony wasn't frightened by the sudden appearance of Caesar, just pulled Pepper behind him. At the same time, a robotic arm brought Mark 6 over, and Tony immediately got fully armed. Relax, I didn't mean to hurt you. Otherwise, before you put on this iron suit or after you put on this iron suit, you have already died 10,000 times. Caesar said lightly, but Tony never let his guard down. J.A.R.V.I.S? Scan their info. Do you mind if I drink a little, that Tin Man? J.A.R.V.I.S is doing a quick scan, and Valina has taken out a bottle of good wine from Tony's collection and is questioning Tony. Definitely. Tony readily agreed that a bottle of wine was nothing to him. Well, thank you for your generosity, this wine is not bad. Valina smiled at Tony, then ripped off the cork, and drank the entire bottle of wine. The global network has been connected, and no specific information about the two of them has been found. The results of the J.A.R.V.I.S scan were passed on to Tony in time. Can you tell me who you are? What do you want to do? I can't find the slightest information about you, it's almost impossible. Tony looked at Caesar and Valina in strange costumes, waved his left hand to signal Pepper to leave, and raised a laser cannon with his right at the two of them. Okay, I said, I don't mean anything, I just want to talk to you about something. However, no matter what you think, you should really prove yourself first. Caesar looked at Iron Man, nodded, and then blinked. A golden flame flashed from Caesar's eyes in an instant, covering Iron Man's body. In an instant, the Mark 6 on Tony's body turned into red molten iron and scattered on the ground. The molten iron was red, but strangely it didn't give off the slightest heat. Tony's whole body was unscathed. The powerful sun power is enough to control all of this. If it's nano armor, Caesar needs a little more work to deal with. But these original Mark 6s, which have not been upgraded, only need a glance for Caesar. 4 shifts today, mainly because I am very sleepy and want to sleep, at least 6 shifts tomorrow. Asterisk. Chapter 60, invite Tony. How is it possible, how is it possible? Tony couldn't keep his composure any longer, as if seeing a miracle. Rather, it is a miracle. The dark red molten iron was still flowing, and Thor even stretched out a finger and tried to touch the dark red molten iron. Soft and sticky with a hint of warmth, there is absolutely no scorching heat after melting steel. Almost completely insulated, no, you control the temperature. How the hell is this done? You know how much you can do if you can control the temperature. My God, this is a miracle. Tony stared at Caesar with a burning look, eyes widened in surprise. Seems to be expecting Caesar to explain something to him. As for the initial vigilance, after Caesar made Tony's Mark 6 completely melt with one look, Tony was completely relaxed. Tony is a brilliant genius, not a dumb jerk. I just wanted to do it, and it did it that way. Don't ask me the principle, this should be the scope of your research in the future. Caesar said casually, but Tony's eyes looking at Caesar were still full of strong curiosity. Don't ask, just ask, maybe, I'm a god. Doing scientific research is indeed not Caesar's forte. Well, sir, god. You all are. Tony also found a sofa and sat down, then nodded to Valina, who took out another bottle of wine and gestured for him to ask. As for Pepper, although there might be no danger in the future, Tony let Pepper get out of here. Valina smiled happily at Tony, then popped off the bottle cap, and drank it again. That's a bottle of Romani Conti. Should. Tony looked at Valina's unrestrained drinking attitude, and just wanted to say that maybe he should taste it slowly, but before he finished, a large bottle of Romani Conti had been drank again by Valina. Okay, please take whatever you want and drink whatever you want. Some booze was too little for Tony. Tony ignored Valina, who was looking for drinks everywhere, and looked directly at Caesar, who was sitting casually on the sofa. Obviously, Caesar is the real master. Caesar didn't care about Varina either. As an Aesir Protoss whose taste habits are closer to humans, many foods in the universe are really bad. Just let Valina relax. Well, no matter from the legend or the power, we are all real gods. Definitely, omnipotence is still a bit difficult for me now. Caesar shrugged and said casually. Perhaps the vast majority of people on the entire earth are just insignificant ants in front of Caesar. But, Tony, there's that value that Caesar takes a little seriously. Well, I never thought there was really a god. However, being omnipotent is indeed a bit of a paradox. I don't believe this. There was still some doubt in Tony's eyes, but then he asked again. There was one sentence in Caesar's words earlier that made him feel wary. You said that maybe that's something I should study in the future. Tony pointed to the alloy that had gradually solidified from dark red to dark black on the ground. You want me to work for you? Bingo, you got it right. Caesar snapped his fingers, then leaned forward, his eyes fixed on Tony. I have a scientific research team that just encountered a problem when researching something. I think your participation may improve their research progress. How about you, do you want to join? You're not kidding me. Tony looked at Caesar suspiciously. I am, Iron Man. Billionaire. Why should I work for you? Tony Stark, who has all the power of wealth and American power, why should he work for others? Definitely because the benefits are first rate. If you have an annual salary, how about a planet of life? Or anything else you want, you can also mention it. Caesar said very seriously. Earth is a very strange place. The stronger Caesar's strength, the more he can feel the mystery of the Earth. In particular, a small and weak planet can give birth to some incomparably smart, and in billions of civilizations, the entire universe can be regarded as a top scientist. Probably, this is simply incredible. Tony was so shocked that his jaw dropped, he was stunned for a moment, and then hesitantly asked. You're not kidding me? A living planet for an annual salary? Are you sure you are really God? Not some alien. Caesar solemnly replied. Definitely, a life planet is an annual salary. If you think it's too low, we can still talk. Also, I'm definitely a god. But there's nothing wrong with calling me an alien. What do you think is God? The strong is God. The universe is cruel, Tony. I think I have to slow down. Tony just leaned back on the sofa, thinking constantly in his mind. The hidden threat in Caesar's last sentence made Tony want to delay it for a while. At least, let the little pepper run farther, and those people should be coming soon. Asterisk. End of the chapter. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.